Hey, this is Logan at Central Kentucky Motorsports, and today we're going to be doing a getting started on a youth dirt bike. This video is geared for the first-time dirt bike purchaser so that you can get your bike home and get going and hopefully avoid some of the mechanical issues that may come along with the first purchase of a machine. This one's a Kayo TT125. This one's right in the middle of the lineup from Kayo. It's going to be the first model that has a hand clutch to step up from the semi-automatic. This one's going to introduce using gears to your children, so it's a pretty good example of a lot of different features of a machine. First, you'll notice some of the components, the features of the machine. Again, that hand clutch. Your front brake is on the handlebars. Your rear brake is down on the foot lever. You do have a kickstart for a backup. However, this is a key start machine. Some of the other things I want to point out, left-hand side of the bike is going to be your gear shift. So this is where we're going to shift gears. Neutral is all the way on bottom. That's where we're going to start the machine. On the left-hand side, we have the fuel shut off and the choke as well. So when I address the machine, I want to make sure it's in neutral. Easiest way to tell is going to be that it rolls without any kind of obstruction from the rear wheel. If it's in gear, for example, it doesn't want to roll. So we go all the way down on bottom, you're in neutral, you're ready to start the machine. I'm going to check the fuel shut off valve and make sure that that's in the on position, that your fuel is not shut off. There is also a reserve on this model. If you're very low on fuel, that's your last little bit so you can get back to the truck or get back to gas. We are in the on position. Choke on this model is on the left-hand side of the carburetor. Your choke is the lever on this guy. You'll also see some of the pull buttons on some of the other carbs. Pull the button up for on, down for off. Like I said, on this one that has the fulcrum, the down position is on choke, up position is off choke. This one probably going to be warm enough that I don't need it. We'll go ahead and just give it a go and see what happens. I'm going to pull the clutch, even though it's in neutral. That's for safety so it doesn't take off on you. Keys are on. I'm going to push to start. Go ahead and kill that so that I can talk again. You'll notice I gave it a little bit of gas. That seems to help when we're starting these bikes. As a unit becomes flooded, that means you've got too much gas per the air to create a combustion in the engine. It'll help a little bit to add some more air. That's essentially what you're doing when you open that throttle valve up. You're opening the air a little bit more. So if it's super flooded, wide open, mind you, got to be in neutral. Weird stuff happens if you're not. Wide open to start this guy is kind of a way to get over the flooding of things. Another thing that you can do if you feel mechanically comfortable to do so is to drain the bowl on the carburetor. That helps quite a bit when the machine is flooded. That's something I'm going to point you towards the internet to find out more info on. But on the bottom of the carburetor on this guy, there's going to be a release screw where you can drain your bowl. That'll help with some of your old gas situations. Really, anything starting a bike that's been sitting for a little while, that's probably a good place to start, is draining the bowl. A few other things that I want to point out on this guy for some of our first-time buyers or first-time bike owners is going to be things that we need to maintain. If you bring it back to us, we're going to do all of this and a lot more. But some of the items are going to be tire pressure. That should be addressed every time you ride the bike. 15 PSI is going to be the most comfortable on this machine for front and rear tire pressure so that you get the best traction. If you're too low on tire pressure, expect that your tires are going to spin on the rim. They will end up breaking the tubes and you'll end up needing to put a new tube in the tire if that's the case. So if I'm going to address the machine to make sure it's ready to ride, tire pressure every time. Chain tension on this guy, you should have something like a couple and a half fingers in the middle of the chain at the top of the swing arm. That's proper. If it's super sloppy and real slacky, then you're in danger of maybe throwing your chain or damaging the bike or some of the components on it. If it's really tight, same thing, damage and or it's just not going to ride correctly. Some of the reason for some of that slack is as we compress the rear shock on the bike, it's going to put some tension on that chain. So you need to have a little bit of looseness, but not so loose that it could come off. So we have gone over starting the machine, which we did with the choke on. I'm going to do it one more time on the video here. I'm going to show you just kind of starting with the choke on and turning the choke off. So on this guy, keys on, start the machine, choke off. Now the bike is happy, it's running, you're ready to take off. You don't want to operate the bike on choke. If you find that the bike only operates on choke, it's probably been sitting too long, the carburetor is probably a little bit gummed up in there. I would recommend bring it in to get the carburetor cleaned. that's really going to be the only way to take care of any of those carb issues, is just to take it apart, clean it out, put it back together, and make sure that it runs well. So once your choke is off and you take off, again, neutral all the way on bottom. We're going to pull the clutch, go into first, and then shift through the gears as need be as we're gaining speed. The idea there is that once you get to the top of the RPMs, you go ahead and pull the clutch, shift into your second gear, so on and so forth, to go up and down in gears. If you do need to kickstart the bike, we'll do one of those as well for this video. I'm going to put this guy back in neutral. Your keys have to be on. Kickstart out. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure to kick on these guys, and it is a kickstart backup, so it's not something you want to do every time, but in a pinch, it's going to work. Just kick it through. A little bit of gas will help to start it up as well. So you can turn the bike off with the keys or the kill switch here, and that should pretty well do it. You know, oil changes, valve adjustments. If we're doing the services here, we're also going to do that every time we do the routine service. We check the charging system on it to make sure that everything's charging appropriately and not going to damage the electronics of the machine. And then we also check the tightness of critical bolts. Those motor mount bolts, those exhaust bolts, your axle bolts, your handlebar bolts, very critical to the safety and operation of this machine. So if you're interested to see exactly what we do in the full services on it, you can come by to our service department to get more info on that. But in a nutshell, that's what we're going to do to make sure that this machine is in operational condition for a long time to move forward. That should kind of help get you going on Christmas Day or any other time that you need to get your first dirt bike ready for your kids. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please always refer to parental guidance, local agencies, whoever the governing bodies are as far as safety and operation, where you can and can't use these in your areas. But for the machines, how to use them, get a hold of us, and we would love to help you.